Welcome to East Tennessee Pinball. Today I'm going to try to fix the display on this Williams Cyclone. It's pretty, he's talking to me. Let me turn around and I'll show you what's going on. Game's pretty clean. It's got all new ramps. Somebody shopped it fairly recently. That bottom right display is not doing anything. You're seeing a little couple of reflections. That's reflections off the play field, but there's nothing coming on the bottom right one. So I'm going to pull it out there and test it with the plasma ball. And then if it indeed is a bad glass, I'm going to swap it out with a new glass, or not a new old stock black glass. So I'll get my plasma ball out. It's just a little toy, you know, that makes you can play with. But anyway, what this thing will do, it will excite the gas inside of these displays. And I don't know if you can see that. It's pretty easy to see here. Probably not too easy to see in the video. If you, the display underneath is actually lighting up. Maybe you can see it on this one. You see those, I don't know if you see the vertical lines as I move it across. There on the edge, you can see some on the edge popping up. Sometimes they light up more than others. I'm not sure if it's like there, you see that lens there. I don't know if it's like a display that still has a lot of gas and maybe they light easier. For sure, some of them light easy. You see this one, you really see it lighting up real well. But anyway, I did all 4 of these, and indeed these 3, I could excite them with the plasma ball. This last one did not, so I'm pretty certain that this one's dead. So I'm just gonna dig through my drawers and find a 7-digit, not alphanumeric, and it's also gonna have to have pretty long leads the way this is mounted because it's up off the board the way Williams did it. So you can't just generally can't use a Bally one because the leads are too short. So I'll have to dig around and see if I've got one of these. So I just dug through all my old displays and I got a bunch of them. I have one old System 11 board, but I've taken all the good displays off. I've got one that sits up high. The original are bad. This one's a dead glass. So the closest I've got is something like this one. You can see it's just, those leads are not long enough. So what I think I'm going to do is just snip these and leave them, don't desolder this one, just cut them off the top, cut this display off and leave those header, basically like header pins, and desolder this one. Then I'm going to have to solder these pins or leads and solder them attached to each one of these, which will really be a pain, but otherwise, you know, unless I get my hand on one of these with the long leads, there's not many more options other than just buying a whole new one, and I really don't want to do that. So I think that's what I'm going to do. All right, so I've got this over here on the bench. Got this donor display, so I'm going to desolder all these. First, I'm going to, looks like somebody reflowed the solder, but I'm going to add a little solder to them just to make it a little easier to suck the solder off. Just takes a second. Got a new stand, so hopefully y'all can see a little bit better. Came out nice and clean. Hopefully the rest will follow. lid on that. It's called time lapse, y'all. Okay, I'm just going to use a screwdriver here and see if they're free, and sometimes just a little bit of pressure like that one and it'll break off, especially a donor board like this where I don't care about the board. I really just don't want to be yanking on these leads and disconnect any of these leads from the glass. Okay, now these things are glued. So you got to, I'm gonna fill with you, just trying to pry this thing out. Not putting too much pressure on the glass itself. I'll be able to get a knife. Hold on a second. Just want to make sure I'm not cutting all the way down through the other side. Ought to be far enough. Again, you want to be gentle. Where those are joined in there, if you break that electrical contact inside of there, you're done. So these should be loose. So I'm just looking to make sure every one of those is moving, and they are. I think I've still got a little bit of this backing there. Okay, so that's off. Came off pretty nicely. Alright, so now we gotta get off the other piece. Okay, so now I've got my bad display. This player 4 is my bad one, so I'm gonna try to cut these without bending them and messing them all up, and leave them fairly long. That's my goal here. I'm gonna have to bend them a little bit, so well, maybe if I come from the top here and just do them one at a time. Yeah, that's gonna be my method here. Okay, so they're all cut. Flip this over. So that display is free. I may need to harvest these little offsets. They're kind of, the backs of them are busted, but at least it will give me the proper depth or height. I think I want these. I believe what I'm going to do, what makes sense, is if I just glue these in place ahead of time, that will kind of, well, maybe they'll snap in. That one's kind of snappy. Alright, so old one. Alright, so let's see how this looks. I need to get this thing trying to get this other side in. Well, the other one's not glued down anymore. But if I follow the lines on the board, it should be about like that. Which means I've got really a pretty big gap, so that's going to be hard to solder because I'd have to bend that down and solder it at the same time, and that would require a third hand. I may just go ahead and pre-bend all these and try to, I think maybe that's what I'll do. Just try to bend all these down a little bit. Don't want to get them going sideways, touching. Ideally, they're all going to be touching or very close to touching. This is not going to be an easy job. And once I solder one or two of them, then I can't pick it up anymore. So I really need to get them adjusted right now, all of them, every single one. Just trying to get these sprung down so there's a little bit of tension between them and the one underneath it. Okay, I think I can live with that. There's a couple that don't quite line up. I'll deal with them when I get to them. Most of them are pretty close. This is going to be a challenge. Oh, I've got my solder underneath as a prop. Okay, well, we'll unwind a whole bunch here and then we'll go. Alright, let's see what we can do here. Yeah, this is going to be hard to do. Hopefully these things accept the solder well. I'm not sure they are going to. So I got the displays back in the game, booted up, see if it works. Well, come on. There we are. Display 3. There we go. There's display 3. Okay, cool. I'll go ahead and stick it in the display test and make sure everything's kosher. Yeah, looks good. Alrighty, cool. Well, if you like this video, click the like button. It lets everybody know it's a good video, and think about subscribing. Adios. Take care.